strategies that he's putting in place in order to address that. I've also expressed to him the commitment of governors to step up to the plate, both in terms of providing support for our security agencies and also sensitizing our population, as well as addressing the root causes of some of these crimes in our states.
At the closed-door meeting, a number of other issues that are of interest to the governors were analyzed, including economy and the general outlook for the year 2021, especially the COVID-19 vaccine management.
I commended the Presidential Task Force for at least wanting to use Mr. President and the Vice President as their publicity vehicles for reassuring those who may have their doubts about vaccine use, that this is no threat to them. You know, there are cultural, there are religious concerns in various parts, and we at the state level, we are reviewing that with all of our colleagues. So we would take a lead as well in our various states. But the good thing is Mr. President has also agreed with me that he would convey to the PTF the necessity of using other influencers, maybe the chief imams, the bishops, our top musicians, our sports personalities, because the more of such people are seen taking the vaccine, the more the likelihood of resistance will break down.
He said as far as the Governors Forum is concerned, COVID-19 is not only a health issue, but also that of security and economy, hence its position that the delivery of the vaccines to the country be accelerated. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has welcomed the offer by Microsoft to support the digital transformation pillar of the federal government's economic sustainability plan, which he said could be leveraged to address issues affecting the youths, especially in engaging them productively. The offer is in a continuation of the technology company's investment in Nigeria after the establishment of an African Technology Development Center in 2020 to support the Buhari administration in the creation of a viable technology ecosystem in Nigeria. Vice President Osinbajo, in a virtual meeting with Microsoft Corporation team, noted the need to constantly engage with the youth, especially that Nigeria's case is peculiar given that the youth constitute a larger percentage of the country's population, hence the need for all stakeholders to pay more attention to that demography. The Vice President assured investors of the commitment of the government in creating the right environment for businesses to thrive. Microsoft team leader Brad Smith noted that his company's vision for investment in Nigeria was one that would lead to the creation of Africa's most viable technology ecosystem. The National Assembly Joint Technical Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission and Electoral Matters is working to ensure that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2020 is passed by the end of the first quarter of 2021. The 2010 Electoral Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill seeks, among other issues, to provide legal backing on the use of card readers and other technologies in Nigeria's electoral process. Ignatius Unko reports.
On the 9th of December 2020, the National Assembly Joint Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission held a public hearing on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Few days after, it inaugurated a technical committee. The technical committee has commenced consideration of inputs contained in more than 24 written memoranda made by members of the public.
This committee is, to look at the act clause by clause, with a view to taking in all the views of Nigerians.
There is no doubt that we have more than enough valuable inputs from Nigerians for consideration to this enactment of this act.
It's quite clear that this commitment is unanimous on all sides to ensure that we do have a new electoral act in place.
Bill passage involves collaboration with relevant institutions. Therefore, Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, and that of the Independent National Electoral Commission are significant members of the technical committee.
Nigerian democracy and the electoral process will become more robust and more resilient if the critical stakeholders in the process resolve to return sovereignty to the Nigerian people as the sole determinants of regime affirmation and change.
I wish to reiterate once again the Honorable Attorney General's commitment to work closely with the National Assembly to ensure the prompt review of these bills once they are forwarded to the President.
What you're doing today is potentially very historic, and the UK is proud to be supporting it. It underlines Nigeria's place as the largest democracy in Africa.
The amendment also provides that funds for the conduct of general elections shall be released to the Independent National Electoral Commission not later than 180 days to the appointed date for the elections. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The federal government has appealed to Nigerians to be patient with the ongoing roads construction across the country due to discomforts being experienced daily. Director Highways Construction and Rehabilitation at the Federal Ministry of Works, Funsho Adebiyi, said this while on an assessment visit to Abuja, Kaduna, Kano projects. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The ever-busy Abuja-Kaduna-Kano 375 kilometers dual carriageway and commenced work in 2018 to ease traffic flow with a completion period of 36 months. Several factors resulted in the review of the project, which led to its slow pace. Appreciable percentage of more than 100 kilometers have been completed under 3 sections of the project. Leader of the delegation expressed satisfaction with the pace of work being done.
They have done quite some kilometers. From Kaduna to Zaria, they have done quite some. And you will see them in the report we saw in the course of our journey. From Zaria to Kano, we have seen significant progress. The only thing is that we want them completed it earlier than they planned.
He says, although some sections of the road are at different levels of completion, which have been critically bad, appealing to road users to be patient as government is committed to deliver a project that will stand the test of time. It is expected that the project will be completed before the end of year 2023. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
In the meantime, the federal government has expended more than 2 billion naira for the establishment of a satellite campus of the Nigeria Institute of Transport Technology in Dawakin Kudu, Kano State, as part of plans to modernize and enhance training in the transport sector in line with global best practices. Again, Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The center, which was conceived 4 years ago, is designed to complement the Nigeria Institute of Transport Technology, Zaria, in manpower production and transfer technology, as well as research in the transport sector. It consists of administrative block, technical section, simulator rooms, classes, among other facilities. Inspecting the project, the Director General NITT, Bayero Salihi Farah, said, federal government is committed to creating an enabling environment for transport sector to remain a key player in the nation's economy. He says the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology is repositioned to produce competent manpower in the sector.
Our institute is mandated to provide training to Nigerians working in the transport and logistics industry. We have trained thousands of Nigerians in this regard. I'm proud to say that many transport organizations across the country at state levels and at federal levels have our trainees at high positions now.
The project, when inaugurated, will accommodate students from Northwest and some part of the neighboring African countries. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Former Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, has tasked government at all levels to learn from one another good examples of socio-economic development. Ogedi Inyekwere reports that this was during the inauguration of the Abonema Ring Road in Akuku Toro local government area of Rivers State.
For now, the road leading to Abonima, headquarters of Akukutoro, can best be described as a one-way in and out, making vehicular movements within the community and environs challenging. With the construction of the Abonima Ring Road and its expansion by the River State government, the people now have an alternative route to access the community. Governor Wike noted that the people of Akukutoro have always supported the state government and worked as a team.
Our own is not to develop others without developing our own people. I'm happy with the contractor that he completed this work, and I have to assure him that we will also continue to patronize him so that he will be able to employ more Rivers people. Having done so, the next thing for us is to field so they can have land to build.
Senator Ike Ekweremadu commended the numerous developmental strides of Governor Wike.
What you are doing in River State and bringing people here is not, as I said, to show that you are working, but let us see if other parts of this country will get inspired and see that this can happen, and then they can go home and do exactly what they are doing in River State.
Ekweremadu says the spread of projects across the state by the government promotes peace, progress, equity, and justice in Abonima, Akutoro Council area. Ogedinye Ekwere, NTA News.
Now, the expectations by parents to see their children resume school on January 18, 2021, after a prolonged university strike may suffer another setback as the non-teaching staff of universities has rejected the 75% sharing formula announced by ASU, leaving the three other unions, NASU, SANU and NATS, with 25% of the 40 billion naira approved as aimed allowance by government. The Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, at a media briefing in Abuja, wants the sharing formula to reflect resolutions reached with government directing all the unions in the university to work with Accountant General's office to determine what should be given to each union based on forensic audits earlier carried out by government to find out what each union has received so far.
Over time, the way government had been releasing the money is that the biggest chunk has always gone to ASU. So we knew that because they were getting the biggest chunks of what was being released, their members must have been collecting something reasonable from what they are being owed. You should be able to say that because the members of Union A is owed so much, they get so much. And what remains is so much. Union B, what has been paid to their members out of what is owed is so much. It remains so much. And from what remains, you are giving so much from this release. Ditto for Union C, ditto for Union D. It cannot just be a rocket science thing, 75 to one union, 25 to 3 unions.
NASU General Secretary says since 2013, when the first release of the aimed allowance was done transparently, with each union happy with what it got, subsequent sharing has been lopsided in favor of a particular union. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has announced an update of its protocols for travelers coming into Nigeria. In a tweet, the PTF notes that with effect from 11th January 2021, all incoming travelers must undergo a COVID-19 PCR test not earlier than 4 days or 96 hours before boarding, while emphasizing that test validity period commences from the time the sample was taken at the country of departure. Travelers must also show proof of payment for the mandatory post-arrival COVID-19 tests before boarding or leaving the country of initial departure. With this updated protocol, travelers with PCR tests done more than 4 days or 96 hours before departure will not be allowed to board. No airline coming to Nigeria is therefore allowed to board any passenger that has not paid for a post-arrival PCR test using the Nigerian travel portal. And now sports. Golden Eaglets face Black Starlets in WAFU Under-17 Championship in Togo. Details on our sports updates.
Welcome to Sports Update. I am Badi Adeleye. We begin with talent discovery and development. As the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development says, it remains committed to hosting the National Youth Games this year. The annual event could not hold in the year 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic, but the Director of Grassroots Sports Development in the Ministry, Ademola Are, says the NYG is next in line after the National Sports Festival built for February.
The lives of the youth are very important, so we are hoping that COVID-19 will really enable us to do what we are supposed to do.
To football now, the Nigeria Professional Football League enters match day 3 this weekend, with Aqua United hosting Abia Warriors in Saturday's sole match. On Sunday, MFMFC and Sunshine Stars go head-to-head. Champions Plateau United host Heartland, while Lord leaders Nasarawa United welcome Kano Pillars to the Lafia Township Stadium. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Football Federation has challenged the national under-17 football team, the Golden Eaglets, to go for victory against their Ghanaian opponents at the WAFU B Under-17 Championship in Togo on Saturday. Coach Fatah Amo's boys, after losing their first group game, must beat the Black Starlets to stand a chance of progressing beyond the group stage. And NFF President Amaju Pinnick has charged the team to show their strong winning mentality against their West African rivals. And finally, Formula One giants Mercedes are confident that reigning world drivers champion Lewis Hamilton will sign a contract extension. Reports claim that the 7-time world champion has made a list of demands which is holding up the deal. And that will be all on Sports Update. I am Badi Adeleye.
And that concludes the news beat. Let's now rejoin Thelma and Suleiman for the continuation of Weekend Deal. Good morning.
Many thanks, Ifoma Jinta, for the AM News this week. And we'll take off with what's headlining our dailies, and we'll take off with the Daily Trust. Wounded soldiers decry neglect, non-payment of allowances. Civilian patients get preferential treatment at military hospital. It's a lie, says the army. No soldier has been neglected, says Defense Headquarters. Below that, why Nigeria's maternal mortality amongst the highest in the world. The riders contributes 20% to global maternal deaths. Inadequate health personnel facilities, poverty, early marriage, key factors. Banditry, insurgency hinder pregnant women from antenatal services. Beside that, around and about, amalgamation, house neglected despite tourism potential. More details of this on pages 6, 7, 11, and 12. Below that, Ekpe, Lagos' biggest fish mart threatened by water hyacinth. Sweet story of Kano's Sugarcane Festival. From page 8, we get information that President Muhammadu Buhari says insurgency to end this year. From page 33, COVID-19, Nasarawa hospitals run skeletal services as 29 doctors test positive. The Saturday Independent is next. Above the masthead, monarch dies 7 days after Governor Baino reinstated him from suspension. Details on page 3. On page 23, how evil wind crippled Oyo politician. We see the visit there of the governor of Lagos State, Governor Sanwo-Olu. Sanwo-Olu cancels ongoing appointment of Lagos State University Vice Chancellor, orders fresh process. Below the masthead, COVID-19. Nigeria plans vaccinating 70% of the population by the end of 2022. UNILAG shut down Varsity Guest House indefinitely. Details of this on page 5. If every woman with extramarital relationship declares stands, 90% of the babies will be bastards. A DNA expert is saying this. How can he authenticate what he's saying? You need to find out from the Saturday Independent on page 18. Ohaneze election tears Igbo apart. I'm a consensus candidate, says Obiozo. Obiozo's claim untrue, says Wogo. Government involvement will send Ohaneze to sick bed, says Professor Obiareri, Barrister Okpaleke. Igbo governors abandoned me, says Nwodo. Below that, a very unsavory story. I killed my friend for duping me. Suspected cultist confesses. Why is Annie Alma Nollywood's latest architect? You need to get a copy of the Saturday Independent, turn to page 9, and find that out for yourself, amongst other very interesting stories. I'm taking a look now at the Leadership Weekend. Below the masthead, my secret life. I want to excel in a male-dominated business. Who is saying this? Why and when? You need to find out on page 31 of the Leadership Weekend. 4,794 killed in road crashes in 2020, says the Federal Road Safety Corps. More details of that on page 9. From the federal government on page 8, we find that we'll end Boko Haram insurgency this year. COVID-19, President Muhammadu Buhari governors to ramp up local vaccine production. The bold headline here is Varsities in Dilemma over overlapping academic sessions. Work out modalities to accommodate new students. NUC directs schools to resume January 18th. Uncertainty over resumption as ASU accuses the federal government of reneging. We can't guarantee industrial peace, says NASU. There's details from the United States of America about the incumbent president, and what we have here is that Donald Trump vows to boycott Biden's inauguration. Details of that can be found on page 7. And the picture story here says Senate President Ahmed Lawan, representative of the President, the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, representative of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, representative of the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Lawal Modu Adams, and the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Siddiq Abubakar, during the Jumat prayer to mark the 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day at the National Mosque in Abuja yesterday. Meanwhile, NIMC workers suspend strike. That's very good news, I would say. Details on page 8. 77 victims rescued from bandits' den return home in Katsina. Details on page 10. And we told you this earlier, that the governor of Lagos State has cancelled the LASU VC appointment process. He said it should be started afresh. More details of that on page 8. And Sule, it's a wrap for me.
Trust me, it's been quite an interesting headlines, I must say. But what's happening in America is actually, surprising. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, really?
Yeah. All right, so I'm starting with Blueprint Weekend, and just below the masthead we have Yakubu Bako, Viola Onwuliri. Where are they now? Below that, federal government states agree on local production of COVID-19 vaccines. Details on page 7 and page 13. COVID-19, health workers endangered species? Find out the answer on page 13. Now, bandit kidnaps Zamfara APC chair's children, injured 1. Details on page 9. Now to the leading story. Failed states controversy. Is Nigeria at risk? It has some writers here. Economy growing despite challenges. Expert. It's been stalled since 2015. Professor Utomi. Political will, sincerity lacking. Amechi. Our concern should be to reverse trend. Details of this can be found on page 5. Now, acting brought me fame, fortune, Amina Yola. Politicians who will make the difference in 2021. Find out the list on page 15. And SARS, man paraded by police demands 50 million naira. Details on page 4. COVID-19 resurgence. Federal government mules fresh lockdown. Trust me, Thelma, nobody wants to experience another lockdown, but the authorities will be left with no choice if people continue to disobey the COVID-19, prevention, preventive measures. And
we must be responsive. We must be.
Now to Saturday's Sun. Beside Mased, we have Labour threatens showdown with Ganduje over workers' salary. Masari bows to pressure, resumes dialogue with Katsina bandits. Southern Kaduna was 111 communities displaced in 2020. 0.4 billion naira paid to bandits, 65 churches, 27 schools shut down. Asake Sakapu leader laments. Anxiety in Edo as Abuja court decides Obasanjo's fate today. APC, PDP sure of victory. Now to the leading story. Presidency, my fears for Igbo in 2023. Aminu Wali, ex-minister and PDP founding leader, reveals what Ndigbo must do. Southeasterners, their own worst enemies. President, Nigeria Christians want in 2023, or Mobude, PFN leader. Now, paternity scandal, the untold story of my marriage, Moyo Thomas, how police got involved. Chiko Ejiro, his last moment, and I, Zeb Ejiro. Below that, we have Buhari wants religious leaders, others take COVID-19 vaccine on live TV. An interesting one that, Thelma, because, most Nigerians really don't want to take the vaccine. There's a whole lot of
controversies as well
around it. So if we have religious leaders, take the vaccine, perhaps it will give confidence to
in the open people,
other Nigerians as well. Now to Saturday Telegraph. We're starting with the stories above the masthead. COVID-19. Lead by example. Where Max, Professor Tomori tells Buhari, governors urge president to push for local production of vaccines. Details on page 2. Now, 2023 presidency, APC, PDP risk mass defections if Southeast is not given slot. Ezefe. Southeast leaders will mobilize, sensitize Igbos. Okori. We will adopt new approach to get mandate. Obiozo. Details of this can be found on pages 5 and 30. Now to the leading story. Zoning inevitable in presidential system. Tony Momo. Interested politicians still have rights to vie. Nigeria needs part-time legislature to reduce costs. Details of this can be found on pages 26 and 27. I will end insurgency this year, says Buhari. Nigeria risks food crisis if Afan president. Details of this are on page 3. Nigeria embassy in France hit by passport racketeering. Applicants pay 150 to 500 per passports for passports that normally cost 90 euros. Details on page 2. It has another rider here. Matter hasn't been officially reported to us, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, 2 drone as pirates attack a boat in Rivers. NIN registration, favoritism, racketeering, touting rain amid COVID-19 fears at Alausa Center. NIBC workers suspend strike. Electricity hike, respect pacts. NLC tells federal government. Details on page 4 and on page 5. Dormant accounts balances on claimed dividends. Federal government's plan stirs concerns among stakeholders. Now to weekend sports. Sporting Sun. Messi phones Neymar, I am coming to PSG. Pochettino targets Aguero as first major signing at PSG. Details of that can be found on the back page. Super Eagles goalie Okoye reaches highest market value. Confederation Cup playoff, Eyimba to face Rivers United. O Bluefontaine Celtic. Details on page 2. Still about Messi's story there. Stop hugging. Footballers warned not to celebrate goals with cordial as COVID-19 spreads through clubs. Details on the back page. UFC fighter arrested for killing sisters. Details on page 7. Igalo to face Watford in today's FA Cup tie. Now Joshua warned against fighting Fury, same way he fought Ruiz Jr. Pulev. Details on the back page. Hazard, I respect Messi. Details of that can be found on page 3. Now, Ajax striker Onuachu's world class. Son eager for Real Madrid deal. Fenerbahce boss confirms Ozil's transfer interest. Details of that on page 3. And that is much we can take from the papers. Right now we go on a break, and after that our conversation in the studio will begin proper. Stay with us.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
It's Weekend Deal. Keep our company. It's an interactive chat. We're having very exciting conversations today. First, with the Honorable Minister for Transportation, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi. We'll also be speaking with Honorable Sununu Yusuf to talk about the expectations of the electorate. Reach out to us via numbers. We would like to hear from you via WhatsApp or SMS. But for now, Francis Ogbe has done for us an overview. What are the expectations for 2021? If you stay with us, you'll find that out.
Year in, year out, the needs of Nigerians practically remains the same. Provision of basic amenities by their elected officials, infrastructural development across board, ensuring a favorable business environment and adequate security among others. The year 2021 is not different. Nigerians are expecting better delivery from their elected officials.
Elective office is not an appointment that you use your qualification to struggle for. People elected you, go and represent us. Either you are a councillor, you are a chairman of a local government, or you are a member of the House of Representatives or senator. Whatever position you have is a position of trust. You are representing people. And during this problem of this pandemic, this is the time elected officers are supposed to have come out and identify with the masses. Look at this NSAS problem. That how many of our elected officers go back to their community and address their people to calm down. So I want this 2021, every elective officer should take note that their appointment is, their position is not an appointment. It's an elected position, and they have to deliver.
Government must reform the electoral system in such a way that young men are given opportunity, be it from councillor to the presidential level, to come into the system, contest favorably on level playing fields, and be, elected into office. Once you expand the electoral scope, there is a tendency for have better and more qualitative, representative people holding offices, and that in its effect would also tell on the quality of service delivery.
Agriculture remains the backbone of the Nigerian economy. Consequently, President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to ensure Nigeria achieve food sufficiency under his administration. How has the journey been so far?
The government has made us understand that there is enough in our grain, reserves, but food sufficiency, goes just beyond the sustenance food production, we're talking about. We should be able to process whatever we're, producing here. And then if there is enough food in the market, but the cost of buying is high, that again creates a disconnect, between the food and the hungry man on the street, because there is food, but you cannot buy, because one, you lack the capacity, the financial capacity, to buy.
We have massive fertile land in Nigeria. Security of the Nigerian masses become number one. Nobody is ready to go to farm again, because if you are inside your farm, you'll be afraid of people that will come to attack you. But we don't have any other country than Nigeria. The best solution is for the federal government to carry the district head along.
Transport is integral to any society. The strategic importance cannot be underestimated, as products and services must reach their final consumers. What should Nigerians expect from the sector in 2021?
It's not necessarily for all of us to be using car. This railway we are talking about is a very good means of transportation. And when you talk of intercity too, look at trailer. In fact, there's one bridge, I don't know, they call $10 bridge or $10 every year accident. If those tankers that used to convey petroleum product to other part of the country, they should use rail system.
In the riverine areas, government must pump money into dredging our shores here to open up open up transportation within the riverine areas. Once there are these dredges and once the dredging is done, it will be easier to move goods and services across the length and breadth of the country within the waterways.
The federal government has a large number of institutions aimed at monitoring the power of the executive, increasing personal freedom, protecting consumers from exploitation, and ensuring justice. What are Nigerians expecting from such institutions responsible for enforcing standards?
If the agency are so serious by seizing substandard product, destroy them and prosecute the offender, it will serve as a big lesson for others. To solve the problem of this substandard product, government must have a policy where all traders must belong to one association or the other.
We Can Deal today focuses on expectation for 2021.
Francis went out, sought the opinion of those who know what's happening in our country, Nigeria, put together an overview to touch on the various issues we're looking at, because we did tell you earlier that expectations for 2021 is our focal point, and that's why we take off with the transportation sector. Is huge: water, land, rail. Right Honorable Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, the Minister for Transportation, is here with us. Welcome, Honorable Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me take off with something that one of Francis's guests said earlier. I did do some research, and I heard that way back, petroleum products were ferried via train. He said that in the last few years, like a recurring decimal, every year there's a tanker explosion, sometimes more than one or two. He wonders, like many Nigerians must wonder too, why are we still ferrying our petroleum products with these tankers when we have what seems like a more viable and safer option, which is the rail system?
You know, it's a typical Ikure saying that the tortoise was thrown into a toilet pit for 7 years, and then the day they want to bring the tortoise out of the toilet pit, say, oh please, this stench is too much, hurry. We've been there for 6 years, 11 months, and nearly 30 days. I think Nigerians should be a bit more patient with us in the Ministry of Transportation over the issue of wet cargo. Currently, we're trying to conclude construction of railway into the seaport to enable us to transport cargoes, whether wet or dry cargoes, to various destinations. Again, even if we begin to transport, we will, but the wet cargoes that can go anywhere will be anyone that can go between Lagos and Ibadan, because we're yet to construct Ibadan to Kano, which we're going to start this year. The moment we start Ibadan to Kano this year, it's going to be like 6 areas of construction, which will be Lagos, which will be Kaduna, Kano, Abuja, Mina, Ilorin to Shubo to Ibadan. Now, when it starts, and there's Ekiti, the one, I think, from Oshubo to Ekiti also. So we want to conclude that then we'll be able to ferry, move wet cargoes all the way to Kano from Lagos. If we also commence the construction of Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, we'll be able to ferry wet cargoes from Bonny up to Maiduguri, up to Gashua and Damatru. So as we finish the construction of any of our rail projects, that's how we'll move cargoes, whether wet or dry cargoes, from the seaport.
Well, funding has been a huge thing when it comes to, providing rail infrastructure in the country, and some experts have actually said that Nigeria needs about 2 to 3 trillion, to fix the rail infrastructure. But even in this 2021 budget, you have like 200 and something, billion, and then you begin to wonder, where will the funds come from? We know that, we have applied for, loan from China and other sources like that. Now, if this comes, are we saying that we are going to have a fully blown, or rather the rail infrastructure really provided in the country?
This will be dependent on the Ministry of Finance, because they have a presidential approval to borrow money to do the following rails. So if Ministry of Finance is able to get those resources, then we'll be able to construct the rails. Too many Nigerians are not happy with me when I say that they should stop complaining, because there was a time we had about $68 billion in our excess crude account. Why didn't Nigeria as a country utilize that money? When Obasanjo was leaving, he left such an amount of money. And I have said to Nigerians that let's go by the contract. Lagos Calabar is $11.1 billion. If you add it to Lagos Kano, which is $8.7 billion, you're talking about $19.8 billion. You add it to Port Harcourt, which is 3.020, so you're talking about 22 billion, even though the one from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is for now narrow gauge. But so if you add it, it will be 22 point something billion. If you add central lines, let's assume, you're talking about 25. But you need to still come back to Port Harcourt, Maiduguri to construct standard gauge, which may take it to about 30 billion to 36 billion. So if you take out of that $68 billion you had, if you remove money from there to construct rail, by now we won't be borrowing money because we had the money. We are borrowing money because we don't have money. No, Nigeria should not pretend about it. Nobody should just go and say, oh, we're a very rich country. Do per capita income versus the population that we have. Nigeria doesn't have jack. We're just a country that's so proud that we're big. Yes, we are. In fact, our population is good for marketing. So you have cargo, you have goods, you have market to buy. But if the population does not have purchasing power, it's like any other country that is poor. We are very poor. And the earlier we admit it, the better for us. Now, so when you see what you see in the budget is essentially our counterpart funding because we are borrowing the money. We are waiting for the Chinese government and banks to approve the $5.3 billion that we need to construct Ibadan to Kano. We are currently
I thought that was approved last year.
No, where we applied, what was approved is the contract. That's the problem I have as a minister. The moment I announced that the federal government has awarded a contract of $5.3 billion to CCCC to construct Ibadan to Kano, they assume the money has come in. No. Up to now, we've not gotten the money 2 or 3 years after we've applied for the loan. We are currently applying for a loan facility for Lagos, Calabar. That is $11.1 billion. We are currently also applying for a loan facility for $3.020 billion for Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. But until we get those loans, we can't construct.
You can start work.
And we have almost finished the construction of Lagos to Ibadan. So if we don't get the loan now, it means that
work will stop.
No, there's no work.
Sir,
it doesn't mean that we're unemployed.
Sir, you're talking about loans. We're hearing billion. I know we're not too comfortable with these loans we're taking. What is the payment plan like?
No,
are we looking at that aspect?
You need to ask the Minister for Finance. We're not involved in loan. Minister of Transport is not involved in loan. But let me ask you this. If when we had the money, we had utilized it in infrastructure development, would we be talking about loan now? Are we saying that all the money we had all this while we use it for was just to pay salaries? The roads are bad, and because we're the government in power, they attribute the bad nature of the roads to the Buhari government. Whether you like it or not, Nigerians will admit that light power has improved. Power started improving from when Fashola was the minister in charge of power. And currently, at least we're getting power. It may not be to our expectation, but if what we are currently doing, if we continue with what we are currently doing, the implication is that we may get to the point where we'll have 24-hour power supply. We just say, look, gentlemen, we need to be patient.
We may. Nigerians will be excited by that.
Forum like this actually gives you the opportunity to enlighten Nigerians about some certain key issues, because one of them is the fact that with all these loans, some are concerned that we are ceding. There's a clause that says we cede Nigeria's sovereignty to China.
Of our nation.
I know you have come out on different platforms to deconstruct that, but I'm sure Nigerians are not really tired of hearing this.
Let me make you laugh. Only those people who graduated from Miniport don't ask those kind of questions.
Tell us why.
Because they are very educated in economics and the legal implication of such agreements. There is nowhere anybody will sign off the sovereignty of any country. Okay, so tell me, there are so many countries in Africa that took those loans. There are some of them that have defaulted. Have they been taken over? In fact, the mischievous people who came up with those stories came up with, oh, there will be a president, Chinchon something, that will be president of Nigeria. And in fact, they made a joke about the Katsina governor who is from China. So, and you believe it. It's what's happening in America. It's like the Trump story.
No, we don't believe it, and we thank you for.
So if you don't believe it, you don't ask me.
Because that's what Nigerians are saying. So we need to clarify that.
Who people believe it?
Because fake news.
Okay, but without fake news, who will sign off the reason? Who will sign up the sovereignty of the country? So I sign up the sovereignty and I don't want to be president anymore. No, it is just a clause to ensure that when we default and they want to go to arbitration, you won't waive your immunity. No, you can't take Nigeria to court because we are a sovereign country. They are saying, waive that immunity that I can take you to court to recover my asset.
We hope it won't come to that.
Oh, that's what
you know, a lot of work has been done on the rail system. In fact, we've seen many Nigerians who are very excited with what is ongoing, especially with Ibadan, Lagos. We hear that some workers going to work, workers that come from Ibadan to Lagos or vice versa, life is easier for them now. We're very happy to learn of that. We did hear about 2 weeks ago that, or 3 weeks, that was last year, that some of the trains going from Abuja to Kaduna and coming back broke down. I think 1, 2, 3 in quick succession, and some passengers were, you know, apprehensive at the point where these things happen. I wanted to know why and what's been done, or what is going to be done in 2021 to prevent such things from reoccurring.
When that happened, the first thing that occurred to me is to ask you, Thelma, are you saying you've never fallen ill before?
Really? Like well, 14 years ago.
Okay, but you do. And they say really because you're young. Human beings even fall ill. Human beings break down. I break down from time to time, jumping from one place to the other. Occasionally I come home and I'm tired. Sometimes I have fever. Sometimes I have cold. And all. So if human beings created by God can fall, machines can break down. Machines can break. Even a machine manufactured today can break down tomorrow. Did they break down? The answer is yes. Were the people recovered from the location? The answer is yes. But nobody will say how. Okay, did they have to walk from that place to Kaduna? There's no way. But again, the government responded. The government responded immediately. What government did was not just to fix the train, because we have Nigerian engineers who help to fix it, but to tell the Chinese company that sold us the train that if we are within the warranty period, we will return it. They have to come to bring people here to fix the train, to know what was the problem. Again, there's a file I read after I saw what happened. Part of the problem is the fact that there is a locomotive that, I don't know whether that's the one that caused the problem, but that one happened because the crane, the capacity of the crane used to lift that locomotive was lower than the capacity that the Chinese had recommended. And they're telling us in the paper they wrote to us that they're not responsible. Because they specifically said, look at the capacity that can lift this thing successfully and bring it down without damaging the engine. And we use something lower. So my minute on the file was, please, they should find out who gave that directive that crane that has lower capacity should
well, an interesting one there. But I know that, yes, Nigeria, the trains breaking down in the country, this is not the first time, you know, the world is experiencing this. You know, people from different parts of the world have actually seen trains, you know, breaking down and being fixed. So it's a regular thing. But some will say that the security challenge in the country is the worrying factor that, like a lot of people are, you know, concerned about, that this train break down in the middle of nowhere. But before you respond to that, let's just quickly take this next report coming from NTA Channel 10 Lagos.
Lagos is one of the most congested.
Waterways have been absolutely important in the transportation of people and goods across the world. Despite the immense benefits,
Lagos is one of the most congested cities in the world. 40% of cars in Nigeria are registered in Lagos. Commuters spend at least 3 hours in traffic each day. Apapa-Lagos route is one of the most congested. To bring a solution to Lagos traffic issues, an integrated transport system that links road, rail and waterways network is required. However, recurring boat mishaps in Lagos waterways, among other militating factors, have made waterway transportation somewhat unattractive to many. In recent time, rail transportation seems to be enjoying a new lease of life. As Lagos is constructing a light rail system, so also is the federal government rejuvenating the rail transportation across Nigeria. An example is Lagos-Ibadan Standard Gauge Railway.
Apart from moving people, it's used for moving massively freight, that is goods, either moving from the port or going to the port. And the impact of that, as I tell people, cannot just be quantified in terms of naira and kobo. It has to be quantified. If you go on train, you have the peace of mind. And if you go on road, and because of the effective rail, you also have the peace of mind.
This train, the diesel multiple unit, has 8 coaches. The full capacity is 588 people in one move. But because of the COVID protocol, we've reduced our capacity to 338 in one move. If I take 338 people off Lagos-Ibadan road, how many buses will I need to convey them? If my bus capacity is 20, if I'm doing 388 in one move, so 388 divided by 20, it gives you an idea of the number of buses we'll take off the road if we do COVID protocol. If I do 588, and I'm sure we'll soon start that, divide by 20. Again, it gives you the number of people we could take off the road. Don't also forget, the part of this project, which is an addendum, is the track that goes to Apapa Port, and another addendum to Tinkan.
The expectations of many Lagosians for 2021 are simple.
So if you could have a rail system that could move within Lagos State itself, and you have stations people could board, say from Ikorodu down to the island, or Bega down to, Festa.
The best that we have going on for Nigeria now is in the rail sector. Constructions going on here and there. I think that this is where we have the most hope for now, because traffic-wise, the roads, now it's not getting better.
Many of Nigerians that travel out, they know the best way of development is you provide transportation, whether inter or intra. Once you have it, development will go.
I really would like to see the ferry services extended, and I really would like to see the train services extended. I would like to see the road network in better condition, and I would like to see traffic management generally much better attended to.
If the waterways are safer, the Lagos roads less congested, and both the Lagos Light Rail and Nigeria Railway Standard Gauge services remain optimal and attractive, Nigeria will be on a quick way to economic prosperity.
You know that, a good thing is a good thing. People have acknowledged and are still acknowledging the fact that our trains move. People can utilize them, enjoy themselves, travel with family and friends, and go from one state to another. In fact, long-distance travel is being covered at this time. So we celebrate that, but that is not saying that there are no attendant challenges or consequences. Sule, you were asking the Honorable Minister the question
about
the break.
Security challenge in the country, and the concern is that by the time this train keeps breaking down on the road, it's not just, like I said, this is not the first time anything like this is happening. US, UK, it's around the world. But if it breaks down in the middle of the, nowhere, and then given the security challenge in the country, the person just actually worried that what will happen to them. Do you have any measure like you put in place to ensure that lives are protected while,
where
engaged in this?
Where are you from? Let me ask you.
I am a Nigerian, and I'm from Niger State.
Niger, okay. I thought you're from Kaduna. I would have asked if you've been... Okay, living in Abuja, have you heard any day that there has been any successful security attack on the train? From the day it started in 2016. Have you heard any?
We haven't.
So why worry? There's a song in my church that says, why worry when you can pray?
Interesting.
But that's not the real response. The real response would be that if there was no security in the train, they would have had a successful attack.
Okay.
But I don't have to discuss security with you. Yeah, but the fact that you see that they've not been successful is because even them, they know that there's huge security architecture in the train, and if they try it, they will not come out alive.
So Nigerians have no cause
We're very happy
We're
very, very
16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 5 years and no successful attack. You think they won't want to? They want to try it.
Let's talk about Lagos to Ibadan. Nice idea, because before now, I didn't know that so many workers, public servants, commute that distance. I would have said, you live in Ibadan, you work in Lagos. How? So the rail system has made it very easy for people to commute and return. But I was just thinking, considering what some public servants earn, spending 18,000 per week on transport is huge. That's minus your rent and minus food for your family. Perchance you're married, you have children. In fact, that's huge. And that's in a month, talking about 72,000. Even if someone is earning 300,000, that's a lot of money to spend on one member of a family. Will there be a time when...
How much is the rent in Lagos?
Wow. Some people pay one-bedroom apartment, maybe like 300, 400.
It's expensive, that's the point.
So how much is the rent in Ibadan?
Much cheaper.
Exactly. It's what they call it, no, it's not in terms of scale, but if you do a comparative analysis, you will see the reason why you need to go through to live in Ibadan. Food items in Ibadan is cheaper. Are cheaper. Accommodation in Ibadan, I assume, will be cheaper. Local transportation in Ibadan will be cheaper. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe even power. Maybe what power we charge people who live in Ibadan may be different from what they charge. I don't know. I'm just but I think life is more cheaper. Life is cheaper in Ibadan than Lagos. So when people commute, I think it will be cheapest in Abeokuta. So why not say if they live in Abeokuta and they go to work?
So people in Lagos should move down to
Ibadan. No, I didn't say that, but I'm just saying we're providing an alternative to the Lagos economy. And growing the economy of Abeokuta, the economy of Ibadan. So you can do, those who, even there's no land in Lagos, so those who do business, who want to build factory in Ibadan, in Lagos, Abeokuta, or between Ogun State and Oyo State, are provided means of transportation. So when you then see that in Lagos, in Abeokuta, you have land, you can build even accommodation for your workers, you can build your factory, right? And you can then commute between Lagos and where your location is at the very cheap cost borne by the federal government. I think you won't ask about the cost of transportation. If you check what we want to do in Ministry of Transport is to contribute in the repayment of the loan. So if you check Kaduna, Abuja, where we make close to 200 million, if not slightly above 200 million naira in a month, and you spend about 100 or something million naira, my idea is that in 2-3 months, you should get about $1 million and start contributing to the repayment.
That's good.
That's the idea.
That's good.
That's the idea.
That's good.
Interesting.
We commend you for that.
Thank you.
And we have some few messages coming in. And of course, you can be a part of this conversation by sending in your comments and observation. And if you like questions, so the Honorable Minister is still here with us. Good morning, presenter. My name is Godwin from Kaduna. Why is railway staff least paid worker on the Ministry of Transport? Now, the next one says, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi, you are a goal-getter. Nigerians will appreciate you, if not now, but in the future, from retired Sopo Joel Ogunjobi Owo Ondo State. And, of course, that's about it. But I remember in 2018 at a sustainable blue economy in Nairobi, your representative, that's the boss of NIMASA, spoke about the need to aggressively invest in marine transportation, to add to the economic development in Africa. And of course, Nigeria, we have a huge potential in that regard. But all the effort in transport sector has been directed towards the rail transport system. What is being done differently to ensure that we upscale the marine sector?
If you just say that you don't have enough information about maritime activities, the cabinet has just approved the Ibon Deep Sea Port, which will be constructed by a foreign investor and the Akwa Ibom State government. The federal government has also approved a seaport in Warri, a new seaport in Warri, which has to be in the deep water area, and certainly not the one we have now. and another seaport in Bonny, which they will all commence construction this year. The one I have a bit of a doubt is the Warri one, but let's see what happens. But the one of Bonny, we expect that construction will start this year.
You're optimistic.
I'm aware. Unless we don't start the construction of the rail line from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. Once, because the agreement in the contract is that once we start the construction of the Port Harcourt Maiduguri rail line, then the contractor must go to start, because that is an investment. It's not a contract. So you can't be doing, based on the agreement, you can't be doing the rail and not do the seaport. And the rail moves from Port Harcourt straight to Bonny to the seaport, where it's expected to carry cargo from there up to the northeast. So there are developments in the maritime sector. Is it where we want to be? The answer is no. I'm not at all pleased with the look of our seaport in the country. In fact, if you go to Lagos, it's like a marketplace. It's supposed to be a security zone. Yeah. People are not supposed to be found inside. The last time I went there was a total embarrassment. As the efficiency increased, the current management of NPA has improved the efficiency. Is it where we want to be? The answer may be no, but at least they've improved it from what it was the last time when they came into what it is now. But they are overwhelmed by a lot of issues. There are rent interests that are involved. Total madness going on. And don't forget that the seaport is not completely under the control of Ministry of Transport or even under the control of NPA. There are so many other people that are in the seaport: Ministry of Internal Affairs, Immigration, Ministry of Finance, Customs. There are so many people. So when you see the madness in the seaport, you cannot be attributed to the failure of Ministry of Transport or the failure of NPA. You must also consider others who are also there. But if not for bad roads, the time it will take to take away your goods from the seaport appear to have also improved. But because even when we have said, fine, you can take your cargo, it will still be at the seaport because there are no roads. There is madness going on about the gridlock. That's where the railway comes in.
But that's where people would have said we will exploit the opportunities that other ports in Nigeria present. Why there's so much traffic and utilization in Lagos. But we'll come back. We'll come back to matter of ports, and you think the conversation about Apapa gridlock, which is known worldwide, and many wonder why it still continues to last year in, year out. We go to Port Harcourt now. Our friends there, Blessing, in fact we call them Blessing 2. Two of them, two of our producers there, are named Blessing. And they worked hand in hand to bring forward this information about water transport. It's a good idea. It solves many problems. But they have the opinion that a little more can still be done.
Waterways have been absolutely important in the transportation of people and goods across the world. Despite the immense benefits, water transport in Nigeria has had a long history of neglect by both government and private sector.
When I was born, it was with wooden boat with paddle from here, from this water side across Obakri, until the advent of the speedboat.
As the name implies, River State consists of many riverine communities whose major source of movement to and from several parts of the state rely on water transportation facilities for goods and services.
Water transportation to me is one of the safest and easiest thing to me.
We normally drive on the river to our community, we do not have bridge for motor transportation.
The waterfront has been used largely by the riverine neighbors, and it makes the transportation easier for us.
Although there are many areas that can be accessed conveniently by land, the state of water transportation has been faced with many challenges like inadequate infrastructural facilities, poor maintenance of available facilities, and lack of funding, amongst other issues militating against its efficiency. These avoidable challenges have made water transportation somewhat unattractive to many.
So for the waterways, see that there are a lot of pollution there. You know, many things that causes accident. Timber, this so-called waterproof, and this champagne, another thing, Chapman, another thing. These are the things that causes a lot of problems. And all this mangrove, the branches is always at the waterfront.
More boats should be provided, and I think more people should be trained on how to drive these boats, so that we'll have enough boats that will ferry us to our destination.
You know, there are sea pirates on river. I want government to, you know, provide more security.
If they will provide life jacket, it will be better.
To improve and enhance efficient water transportation in the state, stakeholders are of the view that government and private sector have a big role to play. More so, the impact of urbanization and the resultant overpopulation of our city centers have often led to constant daily congestion of the major city road network in the country. And water transportation, if properly enhanced, can serve as an alternative in decongesting our roads.
Okay, there you have it, and we have some messages that are coming in. This one says, "Good morning, Honorable Minister. Thank you so much for your vision in the transportation sector. Sir, when will the rail line from Etape to Abuja commence so as to ease movement from Warri to Abuja, prosper from Warri?" Yes, the Honorable Minister has actually talked about some of these things. Mr.
No, I'm not talking about that one. He's talking about there's a new contract. It's not really a contract. It's a concession from Abuja to Baro to Lokoja to Itabe. That then takes you from Abuja straight to Warri. So what we currently have is Itabe to Warri. So an Abuja passenger would need to now drive to Itabe to be able to go to Warri by train. So what he's asking is, when will that contract commence? Now, there's a problem with that contract. The problem with the contract is that it was not really a contract, even though there's an EPC. The contract was supposed to be a concession. So what the cabinet approved was a concession. And then the contractor was supposed to source funds and form an SPV with the federal government. And the SPV will borrow that money and do the construction and own the rail line from Abuja to Warri, and recover the money after some years. Right? And then when they finish recovering the money, they can then hand over the rail line to federal government. Now they are stuck. Why? Yes, we agreed to give them a sovereign guarantee, but we also said they will give us a backup bank guarantee to protect our sovereign guarantee. Because what happens is that once you give him the sovereign guarantee, he is not as committed as he should be to recover the money. Because if at the end of the day they say they want to call up their loan, they will just call up our sovereign guarantee to pay the loan. So in effect, we are borrowing. But that wasn't the contract. The contract is the SPV. The federal government will take 90% of the SPV, you will take 10%. The SPV will borrow. The SPV will manage the rail line from Abuja to Warri, manage it efficiently to be able to recover the $3 billion and pay back to whoever they borrowed it from, after which they hand over the rail line to the federal government. And that's where we are stalled. And I think that the contractor needs to come up with something progressive.
Is your think tank not exploiting other avenues to get a resolution so that we can move forward?
I don't know. What I don't know is that it will go a long way to confirm my assertion that there is nowhere in the world, and I want anybody to prove me wrong, that there has been a successful PPP arrangement in the construction of a rail line. They will show you about 2 kilometers of rail, 4 kilometers of rail where they've had a PPP. Yeah, but that's about 2 to 3, 4 to 4 kilometers that are not expensive. Where you have 100 to 300 kilometers of rail, PPP, there has never been anywhere in the world that I want anybody to prove me wrong. Because it is capital intensive and it's usually borne by the government. So when they came forward with, I remember what Inelama said in the cabinet meeting. He then was the Minister for Trade and Industry. And he said, Amechi, if you can pull this successfully, your name will get into the Guinness Book of Records to be the first man in the world to have successfully pulled an agreement where there is a concession to construct a rail line, because all the rail lines we have are constructed by government.
Well, it's good that you mentioned Barrow earlier in your conversation, and I know that people, most especially the locals there, are eager to know when this port will actually take off, because I remember 2019 January when it was commissioned, you were there, the president was there, almost all the stakeholders were there, but 2 years after, no ship has bet in that place.
You see, from time to time, Nigerians prove me right. I had this conversation with Goje about the viability of the river ports that we have. Onitsha River Port, Barrow River Port, Lokoja River Port, Oguta. And I felt that was a waste of funds.
Really?
The reason is that, of course, the reason is for you to have those seaports, you must have to dredge River Niger. Dredge it for now. Even if you dredge, it is still 2.5 to 3 meter draft, which, please tell me the vessel that can go there. The minimum you can have is a 6 meter vessel.
But when the president commissioned it, he actually said that the idea was to help decongest the Lagos.
Okay, so let me tell you the idea. Let me tell you the idea. Now, the idea, that's what the president was saying when he talked about decongestion. The idea is that, okay, so you pick up a cargo in Lagos, you put it on the barge. So, but Lagos is a bit too far. So maybe Warri or Port Harcourt. You put it on the barge and move it to Barrow. How many times will you go to be able to move those cargoes? So for the man who imports through Lagos or Port Harcourt, if he puts it on the train, he arrives the same day. There's no issue of insecurity and all that, right? The same way, unlike the man who has taken the cargo from Port Harcourt Seaport or Ness Seaport or Bonny Seaport or Ibon Seaport or Warri Seaport to Barrow by barge. Because there's no vessel, absolutely no vessel that will come in there at 2.5 to 3 meter draft. No, I repeat, no vessel.
Because they will spend billions of naira there.
Okay, so that's why I said, I had this conversation with my friend, Senator Goji, and he was like mad with me that it must be constructed. It's no problem. I met it on grounds. I'm going to complete it.
Should they continue that?
So we completed it. So the question is, why haven't we been able to utilize it up to now? Well, what we've done is that we're open to concession it. So we're talking with a company currently that wants it concession to them, just like we're having problems with Onitsha Seaport, River Port. We'll concession on Onitsha River Port, and we're trying to complete the construction of the one in Lokoja. Okay. The one in Oguta is a no, because already for you to construct the one in Oguta, you must demolish the bridge. There's a bridge and on Orashi River constructed by Dr. Deli's government, which will not give an allowance for any good or any even a barge to pass through to Oguta. That's the problem with that.
But before we round up our conversation, can we look at their Papa gridlock? Lagos will benefit a lot from a combination of water, rail, and land movement. These three are under your purview.
Yeah, but I think it was taken over by the office of the vice president, but they've returned it to Ministry of Transport because it was supposed to be a Ministry of Transport responsibility. But when they took it over, either the Ministry of Transport has failed or something is wrong. What I think, and I may not be completely correct, but what I think is the solution would be the transportation of cargoes by rail. If you look at the kind of trucks that you have there, the indiscipline of the drivers and owners of the trucks, and the inability of government agencies to come up with a proper arrangement on the movement of cargoes out of that place, plus the fact that the drivers are so indisciplined that they will not even obey. Now, Nigerians thrive in indiscipline and unlawful activities. Even in that madness of cargo, people are making money out of it. I hear people take 1.6 million naira now to allow you go into the seaport and come out of the seaport. What we've done again, working with NPA, is to put up a committee, talking with again the governor of Lagos State, I'm a bit confused because of the letter, the file I signed yesterday. I thought I said the Commissioner of Police should head, the Commissioner of Police Lagos should head the committee. But what I saw in the file yesterday is that it's not headed by the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Transport. Okay. With Lagos State Government, Commissioner for Transport, MPA, Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, Commissioner of Police, Maritime, and to find a workable solution for now. Why we commission the rail line? When we commission the rail line, cargoes will be asked to use the track up to Ibadan, up to the end of Ibadan, not just in Ibadan, because you'll be transferring that problem to Ibadan, up to the end of Ibadan, and you can move from there to the express road.
And that's expected to ease that gridlock.
The gridlock, yes.
Our supervising producer, Mr. Bayo, has been talking about this passionately for the last 1 week, that other ports are not being as well utilized as those in Lagos. When? How?
No, you can't force an importer or an exporter to use a seaport. There are several seaports. But there are downtowns, there are problems in other areas. There is insecurity in Port Harcourt, there is insecurity in Warri, and Calabar, the maritime insecurity. We'll try to find solution to it, but we're not having the cooperation of Navy. Navy is also part of the problem we're having. So we need to engage Navy more and see how to find solution to the insecurity.
Well, we thank you for this chat. It's been interesting, enlightening, and what remains in my mind time after having any chat with you is the way our conversation is so calm. We get information for the most part, sometimes not the way we expect it, but nobody's tense. You know, you talk freely, you arrive freely, and it makes us we keep you here, sir, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
In all the activities
just before
for this
you
year.
round him off,
Thank you very much.
Quickly, Honorable Minister, are we going to have barrow ports? You know why I'm asking about barrow.
There's a barrow port.
Are we going to have it before the end
There
of this
is a barrow port. You wanted a barrow port, there's a barrow port.
Are we going to have it functional before the end of this administration?
My responsibility is to construct a barrow port. We have constructed a barrow port. Is that true?
There is barrow port that is not functioning.
Please, there's a barrow port. Now, as Minister for Transport, I did engage the public to say, these are the problems we'll face if we finish this barrow port. First, Nigeria doesn't produce anything in the first place. So what are you going to transport? You can't even... The utilization of if you discipline a Papa seaport, and it becomes very, very efficient, they don't have enough cargo. 30 million tons of cargo? For Christ's sake. Okay, but let's take that out and say to you about barrow port, because at this point I should stop saying the truth and become a politician. So if I want to be a politician,
interesting.
Yeah, if I want to be a politician, I would say yes, we're in the process. We have advertised. No, we need to advertise. We have unsolicited what do you call it? Proposal that has come in. We are negotiating with the person on how to manage barrow port. If we successfully conclude with the person, then he will manage barrow port.
We thank you, Honorable Minister, for our conversation.
But none of you asked if the university in Ubima is taking off, because you're not from Ubima. That's the problem with Nigeria.
No. Is that on that transport ministry?
You know how I know Nigerians? Once you ask question, I ask you where you come from, because your question is related to your village or your area. Nobody asks a national question.
Well, we know that we know that the university will take off next year from what we are hearing.
No, that's the university that will take off next year.
We thank you very much for our conversation. Thank you. We hope the university takes off and students go there and get the best rewards. It has been an exciting chat. Sule, your passion is evident about barrow port. It will wrap well. You're watching Weekend Deal. Thank you for being there. We will continue. Thanks to the Honorable Minister. A break beckons. When we return, Honorable Sununu Yusuf is here to tell us a bit more. What do the electorate expect? How would the elected prefer solutions to the challenges that Nigeria faces? All this and more when we come back.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
bookings and reservations. Say Zone 5 Abuja or visit www.jadeshotels.com. Our email address is info@jadeshotels.com. You can also call us on 09291-9321 or 0810-909-7956. Jade's Hotels. Welcome to life.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Do you know that 35% of every girl child and women are raped on a daily basis? Some are killed in the process, some take their lives in shame, others remain emotionally dead for life. It is sad. This culture is not ours, definitely not African. How did we allow bad culture to infiltrate and take over? Even if you lack fear for the law, what of fear of God? And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize gem they are. Say no to rape.
My name is Nando Jamda Muhammad.
Hussein Musa.
Roduna Joel Finji.
Said Musa John.
I'm a carpenter. I've been doing this for more than 8 years now.
Ina said that plantain. Na kai kimamin shekara uku.
I've been selling my tomatoes for about 10 years now, and I do it for a better Nigeria.
Ina wannan sana'ar lemu ne domin Najeriya ta ci gaba.
Ina sa domin Najeriya ta kyau.
And you can see how we are doing our small little work to make Nigeria great.
As you can see, I'm a technician and I'm doing it to help myself and to help my generation.
Ina zaune ne a Plateau na business. Kuma ina yin wannan domin ci gaban ƙasar Najeriya.
For a better Nigeria.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency. The Council of Our Fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
A nation that succeeds will succeed with every hand. All the hands of all the citizens must be working together harmoniously. A creative synergy must be brought to bear for that nation to succeed and stand strong amongst the Committee of Nations, not just on the African continent, but in the world. And all our conversations are geared towards that. Please make our chats interactive. Send us your messages. Let us know what you're thinking, what you desire. Our focal point is, what do the electorate want in 2021? And that's why we've invited Honorable Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu as the Chairman, House Committee on Healthcare Services. He's representing Ngaski Shanga Yori at the House of Representatives. He's from Kebbi State. Honorable, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before we start our conversation, we'll take a look. Some of our colleagues went out and spoke with a few Nigerians just to get a feel of what the expectations are in this 2021. Let's see that.
You still have the right to very conscious of your children to bring to my house.
Tariff, electricity. That is one thing that just greeted the nation as we just entered 2021. So that is not very good. Increasing the electricity, now they said they are suspending it by 3 weeks. That is what I heard. They should suspend it so as to enable stakeholders discuss on the matter. Whether the stakeholders discuss or not, it means in February, Nigerians should be expecting adjustment in the electricity tariff. The government should think twice on that. Yes, and electricity is actually improving. They should keep it up.
The fear of the unknown made me not to travel for Christmas. So, number one issue is security. If they can improve on security, then they will now look at these social amenities like electricity, water. Once all these things are made available, even like the artisans now, if there is no light, there are some people that if there is no light, they can't earn living. But once, if we have light 24 hours, you don't need to cry for government. There are so many things you can do to earn living for yourself. You don't have to wait for government. But if there is no light, no water, no basic social amenities, how do we expect the people to survive?
Primarily, we would be around how to really help people. Small business owners that have lost their livelihood as a result of COVID-19, and how to really support them to keep up, because you know there are no jobs, and it's the small business owners, private business owners that actually cushion the effect of lack of job.
Like in schools now, public schools, like state schools, I expect it to be more infrastructural. Like they should have more facilities that will enable people that really want to come to the school. Like people should not be going for private schools because they are better. They should be like, okay, this is a federal school, it's affordable, and I know that, okay, when I go there, I'll get something. So I want the country to be more developed.
There is just no how we succeed if there's no synergy. There is need for cooperation. When we talk of cooperation, both government, both whether you are working, whether you're not working, whether you're a security agent, you're not a security agent, we have to come together. Because the situation we are in this country is not an issue of game blame. But when you begin to apportion blame, we'll not get out of it. But we have to work together. We see ourselves as one, because Nigeria belongs to all of us. And by the time we cooperate, we identify those areas. But when we begin to apportion blame, we said, Amina caused this, or Mrs. A or B caused this, we will not get out of it.
They need to do something about the electricity issue. I've noticed that people always complain. Well, not people, let me not say people. Everyone complains about how you have to pay so much for units, and then like the units don't even barely last a certain amount of time. So they need to do something about that so it's affordable for everyone.
Well, 2021 expectations from cross-section of Nigerians. There we still have Honorable Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu here with us in the studio. Now, you heard a lot of views there about what needs to be done in order to fix Nigeria. Now, really, this is 2021, the beginning of the year. What do we need to begin to do differently in order to get us to where we want to be?
Well, thank you. Let me thank the management for inviting me to to this a very important discourse that try to address issues as it relates to our nation. The expectation from the electorate are really genuine. And I think the basis for that expectation is what made us to have a sovereign country. A sovereign country must ensure security of life and properties. That is the major expectation, because that will be the building block. Where you lack security of life, properties, any other things is secondary. So I think that's the major expectation from Nigeria. We are here because we have peace, and we are discussing. Other parts of the country, the story is not the same. You understand? So whatever government plans to achieve, if you don't have that security of life and properties, you cannot succeed. Nigeria, we won't expect a situation whereby the ongoing, continuous, daily bloodshed, kidnappings, and insecurity that people cannot sleep with their two eyes closed should come to an end in 2021. And I think we can have the capacity to do that. Therefore, us to achieve this, we are expected as major stakeholders, especially those of us in the parliament and those of us in the executive arm of the government, and even the judiciary, to have a listening ear, not just consider people's comments and criticisms as an opposition or as no. The government must be able to put a structure that will sit down, analyze all the genuine grievances of Nigerians and see how they can address them. Because otherwise, whatever the plan we have, the budget cannot be implemented. That's one of the major expectations that I think should be our reasons for having that, to think that we can have hope in 2021 before I discuss the others.
People are talking about electricity. It's been 60 years, going on 61. And we do hear today power grid down, tomorrow power grid up, less houses are getting more frequent power. And from what we heard from Nigerians now, it's affecting productivity, ingenuity. In fact, some say it affects their peace of mind. Electricity, is it key to nation building and progressive development?
You cannot do without power. Power has come up as an engine in the whole world, globally. Let's take, for example, in the field of medical sciences, maternal mortality that women are dying has a direct relationship with electricity in the supply. Because we have delay, supposing now you are going to have a cesarean section, emergency, and there's no light. The time that it will take you to go and prepare and get continuous supply, that will take you it will take you time. That increases the delay and may cost even life. The fluctuation of electricity in the country has caused so many hardships. It has increased the cost of production. It has increased the cost of virtually everything. So if we want progress, we must go back and see how we can revamp our power sector so that medium-scale industries can come up. For example, I was just in my constituency. I've issued some empowerment materials to women, like groundnut compressing machine that I've just issued out. But it becomes now an issue. They must go and source alternative sources of electricity. And that is making everything costly. You understand? Agriculture cannot go with power. Industrial development cannot go with power. Any other, even educational, our research. In a research institution, you need a continuous supply of electricity. Most of the agents you are going to need continuous call change, and that cannot be maintained. And if you say you have to sustain that power in hospital using the generator as an alternative source of power, it means you must have to use your LGR that cannot even be sufficient enough. So we cannot, for us also, the problem must have to
you being an elected representative will be telling us the solution, because the problem you are stating is what we all know.
Yes, the solution
is on ground.
The solution is for us to have a holistic approach.
Now, before you go further with providing the solution, I know you mentioned agriculture in the course of your conversation, and I know that's one key sector that we all cannot do without as Nigerians, because we need to eat food. And when you talk about food security in the country today, that's a huge, conversation that anyone, if you want to engage a conversation like that, definitely you talk, for a very long period of time. But let's just look at this next feature coming from NTA Marketing, talking about food security, ensuring food security in the country.
The basket behind me represents what Benue State is known for. Benue, of course, like you know, is known for production in large quantity of yam, cassava, millet, melon, rice, granules, maize, and what have you. The question is, how full is the basket? Welcome to Benue State, the food basket of the nation. Benue State is endowed with readily available expanse of arable land and willing workforce. The state is known for its fat yams, bountiful harvest of cassava, rice, soybean, maize, melon, millet, and tomatoes, among other crops. But is Benue still the acclaimed food basket of the nation?
Our land fertile, the environment conducive, the weather excellent, and the people energetic. So put all that together, we were able to produce food massively for this country to eat. But somehow, there's a dwindling production of food.
We still see Benue as the food basket of this country. Remember, the food basket is all about the smallholder farmers that are still producing the bulk of the food that is produced in the state.
Agriculture is the mainstay of the economy, engaging over 75% of the state farming population. The state also boasts of one of the longest stretches of river systems in the country, with great potential for a viable fishing industry and dry season farming through irrigation.
Climate change is militating against food production in the state that we know. What we observed last year when we had cessation of rains as early as October, in fact, several farmers lost a lot.
In spite of the agricultural potential in the food basket of the nation and the successive government's efforts over the years to achieve food security in the country, stakeholders believe that food scarcity may be looming. What then should be the strategies against the impending famine?
So if we are adopting a very ancient method of carrying animals in their large numbers to destroy agricultural land, making the land very thick and impermeable to water, and even killing the animals and dislocating the ecosystem, then of course they are contributing to low production of food in Benue State.
The way out, the state government, in her wisdom, enacted to caution the issue of insecurity, enacted the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law. It's a matter of observing these laws.
For Benue State to continue to pride herself as the food basket of the nation, all hands must be on deck.
NTA Makadi there, many thanks. Benue State is regarded as the food basket of the nation, and they are suggesting and preferring a solution that grazing will provide farmland or grass for the animals to graze, and then give opportunity for farmers to continue to do that thing, to provide food for the nation. We'll take spots. That means we'll join Godwin Enahena this time. We will come back and continue on our chat with Honorable Sunono Yusuf, because he's telling us solutions, plans for 2021. So if Godwin is ready, we can take Sports Summit now.
Will always give birth to a lion. What you just saw there, that's the son of Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, Ronaldo Jr. doing great things right there. And the father is worried that this son might be more popular than him. when he eventually retires from football. Welcome to the show. We say compliment of the season. It is Sports Summit on Weekend Deal. Yes, we want to entertain you this morning. Something you will love to see. Yes, we started it already by taking a look at the son of Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, let's bring you another side to this young boy who already plays for the academy at Juventus Football Club. That's the club that the father plays for. This boy has scored more goals than the father. Yes, he scores goals like joke. The story of Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. My name is Godwin Enakena. I almost forgot that. Let me leave you with Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. doing amazing things at the age of 10 with football.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push.
Well, you have not seen it all. From Cristiano Ronaldo to Marcelo. Marcelo plays for Real Madrid. In case you do not know him, he has won the Champions League back to back to back. Yeah. He used to be a regular at Real Madrid. He's a French player now. It looks like better days are gone. But this is the son doing amazing things with football.
No, pero 40 sí. Sí, 40 minutos sí llevas. Vale, pero solo vamos a salir con uno. Tranquilo, relaja la mano. Arba.
It is not just about football. Let's talk about the greatest golfer that the world has ever seen, some will say, because there's a Jack Nicklaus somewhere. Yeah, he's back. He's playing golf again, yeah. He went through turbulence, but it's not about him. It's about the son. It's amazing. You will enjoy this, I promise you.
Day 4 back, they needed to get it going, but they had a bit of a slow start with a couple of pars before Charlie rolls this one in for birdie at the third. They're, what, 289 yards away, Justin?
That's about right. Tiger's drive down the right side might have caught the fairway, but I would imagine they're going to be using Charlie's drive. Something might have enough loft to land it just on the green, take a hop forward, something like that.
My
Look
goodness.
at this.
The tempo and rhythm of that swing. And he and Dad stay at 13 holes. This was just earlier, and we believe this was a 5-wood that he rips from about 175 yards with Dad watching close by. You can hear Tiger say, awesome shot, and it was. It's within about 4 feet for eagle.
This is just 3 out of so many. Maybe in subsequent editions, we'll bring you more interesting stories like this of the father bequeathing what they do to their children. I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you did, yes, we'll be back same time tomorrow by the special grace of God. Sports Summit on Weekend Dealer. My name is Godwin Enakena. This year will favor us. God bless.
Definitely this year we favor us, and it's good to see the younger ones taking after their fathers, and well, it's very good to see. But we still have Honorable here. Now, we don't have enough time on our hands, but tell us, what should Nigerians really expect from our legislators this year, 2021?
Well, the electorate should expect from us a very robust oversight functions, rolling out of bills and acts that may be assented to by the president that will better the life of every citizens. Legislation that will provide food on the table of the common man, ease access to education, have universal health coverage, and then the packaging that will improve the social well-being of the people generally. And then we should also be expected to go back and touch life of an average Nigerian through our respective constituency project so that we complement each other. We also have to expect from us a synergy between legislators and the executive, and also legislators with their respective state they are coming. In some states, the relationship between federal legislators and their state government is not something to write home about. And that has really affected the ability of members to deliver some projects that are life-touching to general society. So that harmony will create such a distance. We also have to have a situation whereby the legislator will be proactive. Let me cite an example. The ASU president just have confirmed that Mr. Speaker has intervened very actively to ensure that the issue of ASU strike has come to an end. These are all proactive measures. Not only that, we also have to ensure that the legislator also stand as an independent part of government that have the capacity and power to summon anybody and correct him, and also take necessary action as provided for in the law. This is only when we do that we now say that we have a robust legislation that is comparable to other
nations in the world, and have the best interest of every Nigerian at heart. Yes. We want to thank you, Honorable Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, Chairman, House Committee on Healthcare from Kebbi State, Ngaski Shanga Yori local government area. Thank you so much. A friend of the House, a friend of Nigeria. Please continue to do excellent things for your constituency and for Kebbi State and for Nigeria. Sule, we've come to an end.
Yes, that's where we call it today, and it's been a wonderful ride, trust me, and it's always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. Tomorrow, bright and early, we'll conclude the conversation on the expectations of Nigerians this 2021. Bye.
God bless Nigeria.
Thank you.